And then he knew, once he witnessed this, once he got the word that these two kings had been killed, he went to Isaiah's house, okay? He looked at the boy. The boy still could not discern right from wrong, this Emmanuel, all right? So therefore, he knew that the rest of this prophecy that had been told to him about the 10 tribes being taken away, being broken, carried away, where they wouldn't be a people, he knew that was going to come to pass, even though he was not going to live to see it, all right? Now, so that makes that first chapter, as we said here in the first chapter, Matthew, that makes that a lie. This did not come about. This was not the fulfillment of Isaiah chapter 7, okay, verse 14. This was not the fulfillment of that. So now, if this first chapter, Matthew, is a lie, the whole story basically is shot right then, okay, because it starts out a lie. Okay, what starts out crooked, you understand what I'm saying, is crooked from the beginning. Okay, now it's many other areas, but we're going to go into another area that is commonly, I've heard many shows, these people on these shows have talked about, okay, and they all get it wrong, and I'm quite sure many of you have heard this expressed this way, what we're getting ready to deal with next, and that's Daniel chapter 9. Okay? Daniel chapter 9. Now, to set this up, okay, at the top of Daniel chapter 9, this begins with the Babylonian kingdom that began, well, you know, the first bunch of Yehuda, Benjamin, and the Levites, okay, of Jerusalem and the 3 tribes there. They were taken out in 606. This is the bunch Daniel, he was in this bunch. Daniel and Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, commonly called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, they were all in this first bunch in 606 that was carried up into Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar, the year before he became king. Okay, because in 606 Nebuchadnezzar wasn't king, he was like co-regent with his father, Nebuchadnezzar. Now, the next year Nebuchadnezzar dies and Nebuchadnezzar becomes king. But the counting of the 70 years in Babylon, that first carried away up into Babylon, the first Babylon, ancient Babylon, began in 606 BCE. And that's when you start counting these years of the 70 years. Okay, so now at the top of chapter 9, Daniel, okay, we see that the Chaldean Babylonian kingdom has fallen. That first kingdom that's represented in the prophecy of Daniel, okay, chapter 2 of the 4 kingdoms of man, okay, and the Chaldean Babylonian kingdom was the head of gold. Now when it falls, it fell to the Medes and the Persians, which were led by Cyrus, okay, who became known as Cyrus the Great. All right. Now, Daniel understood by books. He was counting the years down. All right. And he understood that it was, you understand, when he saw the kingdom translate hands from the Chaldean Babylonians to the Medes and the Persians. Now he's confused because he knows the prophecy, okay? He knows the prophecy of Jeremiah, which he mentions, okay? In verse 2 in chapter 9, okay? It says, in the first year, this is verse 1, chapter 9, Daniel, in the first year of Darius the son of Ahasuerus of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, okay? Because this Darius the Mede was made king by Cyrus the great king, okay? And he was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans because he led the assault on Babylon when the Medes and the Persians defeated the Chaldean Babylonians. So Cyrus made him king over that area. All right. Now, in verse 2, it says, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of Yah came to Jeremiah or Jeremiah, right? The prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. Okay, so now Daniel's confused because he knows that the 70 years have not been completed because he's counting. Remember now, he went out with the first bunch that was carried away up into Babylon. And that started in 606 BCE. Now, when he sees that the Medes and the Persians have defeated the Chaldeans, this is in 538 BCE. Now, some of these history books will say 539, but you'll see others that'll say 538 BC, and that's when it took place. Okay? 538 BCE. You got to remember that these descendants of Esau who transliterate this book have also gone into history. They fooled a little with history just like they fooled with this book. But again, if you're really seeking the truth, if you're really seeking Yah, you're going to come to understand what the truth is and what the lie is, okay? Because different historical books, you know, as well as with this book, is going to line up, okay? Because the descendants of Esau who translated this book, the illuminated ones, all right, they understand how important time, the being able to chronologically, okay, put time in its proper perspective. They understand how important that is, okay? That's why even to this day they still fool with time, just like it was prophesied of, you know, in Daniel chapter 7 that they would. And this started under Augustus Caesar. He's that little horn in 7. But let's continue on this track here. Now, it specifically says that Daniel started praying when he saw the kingdom of the Chaldeans fall to the Medes and the Persians, because he understood the prophecy of Jeremiah, and he knew that the time was not fulfilled. You know, the 70 years. He knew they still had some more time. Now he's wondering, are they going to be cut loose in the 70-year period that had been said earlier, that he knew of the prophecy of Jeremiah? And more likely than not, Daniel probably, without a doubt, also understood, and there's no doubt that he did, the prophecy in Isaiah of Cyrus, okay? And you go to chapter 44, the last verse in chapter 44, Isaiah, and the first verse in the next chapter, chapter 45, Isaiah, is talking about Cyrus. And Yah is talking about how he was going to raise up Cyrus, okay? How he would surname him. That's why in history, he's known as what? Cyrus the Great, okay? And this prophecy, when you read it over in Isaiah, and this prophecy preceded the prophecy in Jeremiah. All right, because Jeremiah, he prophesied in the latter part, he started prophesying in the latter part of the 7th century BCE, which is, you know, in the latter days of Josiah, okay, around 613 BCE, going down into the 6th century BCE, which is the 500s, okay? Remember now, he prophesied in the latter part of the 7th century, which was the last of the 600s. BC's Jeremiah, going into the 6th century BC, which was the 500s, okay? But Isaiah prophesied in the 8th century BCE, okay? Approximately 160, 70 years prior to Jeremiah. So this prophecy in Isaiah chapter 45, the last verse 44, and the whole chapter 45, was long before the prophecies of Jeremiah. All right? Now, again, when you go all the way, read how Daniel was praying. Okay, he started praying to Yah, as it says here in chapter 9, Daniel, and confessing his sins and the sins of the children of Israel. Now, when you get down into verse 24, okay, the angel had been sent to Daniel. Okay? And this angel, you know, it's talked about in verse 21. It says, yes, while I was speaking, this is Daniel, he said, while he was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. Okay? At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for you are greatly beloved. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision.